Hey, good morning, everybody. It's me, Michelle De Palma. And I'm actually going to introduce myself as Michelle De Palma because I want you to be prepared for this video that I'm going to talk to you about some things here. And I want you to understand what I'm going to tell you, okay? Because I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video. I'm going to get a lot of hate, a lot. I'm trying to find a place to put this so this way people will listen to what I'm saying, okay? I got the volume up. This is going to be a pretty important video. And invite anybody you want in here. So, I have been on Facebook now for about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years, talking about the president, supporting him and this and that. And I want to talk to people, and this might be a very lengthy video, because I want you to hear what I'm about to say. Everybody knows that I put up a huge campaign for the president. I put billboards up for him, about 7 of them all across the country. I followed him around for about a year, going to all of his rallies all over the United States. This video is not meant to do anything except get people to think outside the box, okay? You have to be able to think about what's going on. This doesn't have to do with masks. This doesn't, hey, Ellen, it doesn't have to do with masks. It doesn't have to do with COVID. It has to do with one particular entity, and I want you to really understand. And the reason that I'm doing this video is because I have a lot of people on my page. There's a lot of trolls on there too, but I have a lot of people on this page that listen to me, and they listen to what I say. This guy is a paid-off lunatic. I'm not exactly sure you're talking about, Susan, but I want you to listen to what I have to say, okay? Because this is vitally important when it comes to casting your vote in November, picking a candidate if you still think that you have the ability to vote freely and fairly, okay? So here's the deal. For the past month, I've been doing a lot of research, lots and lots of research, day, night. No, Susan, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. He might be, if that's the case, just a snippet, but this guy, David Goldberg, if you do your research, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, that's fine. People can hate me, people could come after me, and I'm going to say something that people are probably going to, I don't care if I lose all my followers on this page. I really honestly don't care. I could lose all the followers on this page. I could lose everybody that listens to me. People can come after me and attack me. I don't care. I am going to do this video and I am going to speak my mind, okay? And if you believe any of what I'm saying because it kind of coincides with what's going on, maybe you'll start to think about what's really happening in this world, okay? So this guy Dylan, who was supposedly a QAnon person who was in the QAnon movement, and I don't know anything about QAnon. I know that it was part of POTUS and all this good stuff, but and I'm going to shut the comments off for now. So this guy Dylan made this video, and people are bashing him wherever they can possibly get in on his videos. They bash him because they say that he's nothing but a turncoat. He's nothing but a twisted, sick, pathetic piece of garbage. They've called him everything in the book, okay? So this guy Dylan made this video. He's a QAnon, ex-QAnon. And he's got some serious questions that he wants to ask. And before I start talking about Dylan and this guy David Goldberg, I really want people to hear what I have to say. And this might be where I lose a lot of followers. And that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. That's what makes everybody is an individual in this world. You do not have, Susan, you can go. That's fine. In fact, you know what? I'll make it easy on you, Susan. How about this? I'll just block you, Susan. How about that? I'm going to block anybody that says they're done with me, because that means that people are, and I'm about to say it, people are in a Trump coma. Do you understand? People are in a Trump coma. You've got to understand what I'm saying here, because this has nothing to do with not loving the president. This has to do with people not waking up to what's really going on. Do you understand? A Trump coma is what people are in right now because they can't see what's really going on. COVID-19, I work in healthcare. I've seen it with my own two eyes. You have got to wake up from this Trump coma that you're in and realize, even if you don't like this kid Dylan, you don't have to like him. You don't have to listen to anything that's going on with this kid Dylan. But what you do have to do is you have to open your eyes to what's really going on in this country. And now I'm going to go into something else that people don't seem to understand. You're talking about masks, you're talking about COVID, you're talking about all of these things that don't mean anything. Have you ever heard of the Khazarian Mafia? Have you ever heard of the Khazars? The Khazarian Mafia is the most powerful mafia on this planet. They are the most powerful mafia on the planet. They are the Jewish mafia. And now I'm going to get into something else, which I'm probably going to get bashed for. That's fine. The Jewish mafia. Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is a fraud. He's a phony. He's a fake. Benjamin Netanyahu and this Khazarian mafia are one in the same. Do you not get it? Do you not understand? There's more proof if you look on Facebook and if you look on YouTube and if you look on Twitter and wherever else you want to look. You have got to open your eyes to what is really going on. Now, you don't have to like this guy Dylan. You don't have to follow him. You don't have to listen to anything he has to say. Although I have to say he was talking about God, because God is the key factor here. If you look back in past generations, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. The Jewish people, the serious Jews that should own the land in Israel, don't. Do you understand? The true Jews in Israel, that land is not theirs. It belongs to the fake Jews. Do you understand? These are the fake, false prophets that are involved in this mafia, that are coming after people, that are coming after United States American people, and this guy Dylan talks about it in his video. So if you can't understand, Dylan is a former QAnon. Dylan is now on the other end of the spectrum where he's starting to question what is going on because he doesn't like what he's seeing. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't understand what I'm seeing. And if you are a good, solid patriot, you will question everything that is going on. Now, there's this gentleman, we'll go back a little bit. His name was David Goldberg. He was a CEO of a major company. His wife was high up somewhere in the Mark Zuckerberg Facebook. This isn't about being against or for him, Angela. This is about the Khazarian Mafia. If you do your research and you understand what the Khazarian Mafia is doing, how they are involved with Benjamin Netanyahu, and how everybody in Israel is trying very hard to cohort our government and what it is that they are doing, you will understand where this is coming from. It makes no sense for me to sit back and praise Trump as God. Do you understand? Trump is not God. There's only one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and that is my God, Jesus Christ. I don't look at Trump as God, and I never will. This gentleman, Dylan, who's a former QAnon, has said the same thing. And it's absolutely true. Dylan is correct in what he's saying. Now, I'm not going to play the entire video for you because Dylan's video was 1.5 hours long. But if you listen to this part of the video that I am going to play for you, I'll see if I can get the volume up as loud as I can. I want you to be able to think about what is going on and what they are doing to this country. Cashless society, fooling us with COVID. COVID is a covert operation. Look up Operation Pogo. Look up Operation Zypher. Operation Pogo is something that has already happened way beyond in the past. Do you understand? Way beyond. Operation Zypher is something that is going to happen probably within the next year to a year and a half. Operation Cypher is what they want to do to end their, put their evil deeds in motion if COVID wasn't bad enough. Operation Cypher is supposed to kill up to 15 million people. Operation Cypher is, you heard me right, is supposed to kill up to 15 million people. And how are they going to do it? They're going to do it in the dark of the night. They're going to do it through ways like COVID. COVID was supposed to kill millions of people. COVID didn't kill millions of people. You know why? Because their plan didn't work. So now this mafia, this Khazarian-driven mafia, has got to do something along the lines to covert their plan and make it go even further so they can have a cashless society, so they can go on and get rid of the people that, look, if you don't have to believe what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is fact way back in the archives on how the covert Jewish people who have hijacked the system want to take over the country. If you look at the articles that I have posted, you will see that the Jewish people who are part of this Khazarian mafia have done things like they have banded together with Israel to destroy Europe and bring in the Somali Muslims, the ones who are here destroying the country. That was Israel who did it. It wasn't George Soros. This was Israel that did it. Do you understand? There's so much more that you don't understand. And if you go on BitChute, BITCHUTE, I believe, BitChute, you can find tons and tons of things that will open your eyes when you will understand that Israel is the problem. Israel. You've got to be able to take down Israel. They're the fake Jews. That land does not belong to Israel. Do you understand? Israel, every president in the past has always paid homage to Israel, right? Every president in the past has always paid homage to Israel. Israel is the reason this is all happening. So now this guy, David Goldberg, who was the CEO, he was murdered, right? I'm going to say murdered because they say that he died, right? He was murdered. Even his widow doesn't believe, because he did have a wife. Even his widow believes that this is not true, what happened to this gentleman. And he had a bunch of information, a bunch of tapes, and a bunch of drives for his computer that he had put away for a rainy day, so to speak. And I want you to listen to what this guy David says, because it's very important. I'm going to see if you can listen to it, because I'm going to play it for you. So this is the excerpt of what this guy Dylan said, but then you're going to be able to hear what this guy David Goldberg said. And the volume's up pretty high, so here we go. I'm going to try.
Please do not attack the messenger. Just listen to the words that he's saying.
Hello everyone, this is David Goldberg again. This is probably going to be one of my most important videos that I've done yet. We're going to discuss a couple of things, new things that have come up. I have received classified documents from my White House insider, and we also have some memos that I've referenced in the past, and I'm going to walk through everything that I've been deciphering and learning from these videos, from the documents that I've received.
I'm going to put it by the volume so you can hear it.
So, we'll get into this. The crux of it, I want to just introduce you right away. What is it all about? This is it. This is what the documents reveal. There are too many people waking up. There are too many Americans, more and more of them, that are suspicious of Israel. More and more Americans aware of Zionism. This has been around for decades and decades. You go back to the 50s, 60s. There's a lot of literature about Zionism, about Judaism. It's not unusual, but the difference is today more and more people are waking up to it. It's been a real tipping point where you always had maybe about 0.5% of the population that was aware of Zionism, that did not like Jews and whatnot, but they were never part of the mainstream. They were always dismissed as conspiracy theorists. They had no influence. So they were not really a threat. But that has changed. And you know that has changed. Anyone paying attention knows that has changed. We have seen a big change in comment sections on YouTube, many people making references to Zionism. It has become a part of the nomenclature through the influence of 8chan, 4chan, many websites, and ultimately many YouTube channels that have been speaking the truth very aggressively for many years, but it has really gotten attention lately. It is somewhat of a cumulative effect, a snowball effect, where more and more people start to wake up to the truth and the facts, and it just expands. And people become more accepting of it. And they start to say, okay, it's okay for me to look at the information. I'm not an anti-Semite for looking at it. And it really starts to click for people. So this has been a big change in the recent past few years. What happened is that Israel, its agents, its propagandists, have been paying very close attention to this over the past few years. They know this is happening. They are very concerned about it. We are talking about 0.5% of Americans who have some idea of Zionism and they're against it and they understand it. That number, according to these documents, is now about, I saw two numbers. They said 15%, and another one said 7%, but that is a very large number of Americans that have woken up to what's going on with Israel and Zionism and the Israeli lobby and the influence. They're unafraid to hate Israel. That number is very high, and it has them very concerned. This is much of what the classified documents talk about, but we'll get into that more. I wanted to set it up for you so you actually understand what this is really about. What I was given from the White House Insider. The main part that you really need to know, though, is they have a plan for all of this. So I'm going to talk about that now. There is discussion within these documents years ago to ban the YouTube channels, to shut it down, all of that. But they changed course. They made a decision to do something completely different. And they decided, instead of censoring everything, to fund and promote gatekeeper channels, shill channels, to simply gather and collect all the open-minded people who are looking at the issue. And they did shut down some of the legitimate channels, and that has actually happened. If you're following some of that, you are aware that there have been channels that have been shut down, almost completely eliminated. Some of those channels were not a part of the original gatekeeper channels. They have no connection. They are truth-telling channels. Some of those they've eliminated that they felt were a threat or that might be calling out the gatekeeper channels. So, I'm just looking through some of the documents here and seeing what I want to talk about next. One really interesting aspect of all this is that the gatekeeper channels and the shill channels. Typically, these would be disinfo channels. Disinfo channels, like Alex Jones, for example, has been a long time disinfo Zionist channel. Very, very active in deflecting people away from Zionism. Alex Jones talks about everything, but he never talks about Israel. So that is an active disinfo channel that's been around forever. What they created with these new gatekeeper channels is very truthful channels. They're very honest. They don't put out a lot of disinfo. They are actually legitimate. And that is done to give them credibility among these people who are awake, who are waking up. It was very specifically done, the documents to talk about that. Now I'm going to talk about what is the purpose of the whole operation. And the purpose of this is to put out truthful channels, to attract people to them. They call it tag, track, and ID. It is a term used throughout the documents, TTID. It's something you want to remember. This is very common throughout these documents. They're referred to it all the time. So what does that tell you? They want to tag, they want to track you, and they want to identify who you are. If you are watching these channels, if you are informed, if you are awake on these issues, they want to tag you, they want to track you, and they want to know exactly who you are.
Tag, track, and ID.
They want to know, and it talks about the tracking people's IP addresses through YouTube. They have access to YouTube. They do know who you are. So this is discussed a lot in the documents. I'm just looking through it right now. And there are two projects, and it's very important to listen to this. Project Pogo is one of them.
Project Pogo.
And Project Zypher.
Project
I will spell
Zypher.
that one. Z-Y-P-H-R. Project Pogo and Project Zypher are the two projects that the classified documents are referring to, and each has a different role. Project Pogo is about the YouTube gatekeepers, how they are all agents. They are all paid to put out truthful information so that they can tag, track, and ID the
Tag,
people that
track,
are
and
watching
ID.
the videos.
Listen to him.
And giving them likes and giving them comments. They're tracking all of it. Project Zypher is a different project, and that's what I'll talk about in a bit.
Listen to him.
That is the second stage here. That is coming up. And that is the extermination.
That's where they're going to kill people.
They're going to exterminate these people, whether it is tag them for anti-Semitic speech, charge them with crimes, eliminate them completely, and this is where I'll talk about in the documents where they talk about guillotines, viral attacks, targeted, how they're going to eliminate these people without too much suspicion, without too many people noticing. But here's the problem. As I read the documents, I can see I have documents from 4 years ago, I have documents from 2 years ago, and then I have documents from 3 months ago. So there's a progression in the timeline as the projects change. And Project Zypher has changed. In the beginning, they were talking a lot about, okay, we are going to infect these people with a virus that imitates the flu virus. They're going to eliminate them in various ways that would not be suspicious.
COVID.
In the documents I have now from 3 months ago, they are saying the amount of people they have to eliminate is too large. It is too many. We are talking about millions of Americans. And this is where we see their plans are changing. And they are going to initiate something that is devastating and that is extremely frightening. And based on what I can see in the documents, we're talking about power outages along with a purge. They're going to come in, they're going to take you out of your home, and they're going to put you into a military vehicle or whatever, a van, and drive you away. and place you into a camp. It is a very, very big operation that they're planning. It is millions of Americans. They will do it under the cover of night, under the cover of blackness, during one of these planned blackouts. The blackouts are based on documents. I'm just looking at it right now. They have a 3-day blackout. They have a nationwide blackout that lasts 2 days, and a lot of localized blackouts. So it is a whole series of blackouts that they're going to do. And of course it will be blamed on all kinds of things. They might blame it on Iran. I have seen that mentioned in the documents. They've already prepped people for this. There are going to be more blackouts. They're already predictive programming. So we may see more of this as we go on. As far as I can tell from Project Zephyr, or Zypher, they are planning this next year and the year after. They are not done tagging, tracking, and identifying everyone. It looks like they're at about 78%. I looked in the documents, and there were a couple of indications of how far along they feel in the project is. They're like 78% done, but they're not completely done. It does take time to identify a YouTube account and then track it to the email that it was created with, and then the IP address, and then find out who created it. It does take them a lot of time to do that. It is not instant. It does take a lot of research, because a lot of people create a YouTube account with an email address that doesn't give any indication of who they are, an account name that doesn't have their full name on it. They don't use their real pictures. So it is a challenge for them, and that's why the project has been going on for so long. But it is coming to a close. In the next 6 months to a year, it appears it is coming to a close, and that is when Project Zephyr will be initiated.
Project Zephyr.
So I have some notes here. I'm going to continue on, talk a little bit more about right. They're being tracked. They're being identified. That's the whole point. A lot of people have said, well, why are some of these YouTube channels allowed to exist? Why are they allowed to so openly talk about the truth? And some of you might know Adam Green, No More News, and there are a whole bunch of others, and they're very, very open about Zionism, and they're very honest about it, and they're telling the truth. I mean, they are telling the truth. They're not hiding anything. They're not disinfo.
Okay, so I'm not going to let you listen to the rest of it, because there's much more that this David Goldberg talks about in his video. And he made this video in June of 2019. He died shortly after he made this video and told people exactly what he had found as far as information. The purpose of this video is for you to look up Project Pogo, Project Zephyr, put the pieces together and understand Israel is the problem. If you don't believe me, you could look it up. It's evident, and there's evidence. Benjamin Netanyahu is supposed to go on trial in January. His trial is supposed to start in January. That's just pure hard facts. You don't want to believe me? You can look it up. I already posted it, and there's many articles that show you that he is going on trial in January. This gentleman, David Goldberg, was a high top CEO. He had no reason. He was in the music industry. He had no reason at all to try to, make money or go after people for no reason. This David Goldberg knew exactly what was going on, and you really need to start looking outside the box and thinking outside the box, because COVID came along. He said that they were going to do something that was going to attack people like the flu. We got COVID-19, didn't we? He was right about that, wasn't he? So now that COVID is gone, what else are they going to do, and what else are they going to come up with? This Khazarian mafia is the Jewish mafia. If you look it up and you do your research, you will see that the Khazarian mafia is very high in the chain, if not the highest in the chain when it comes to a lot, including satanic rituals. That's right, you heard me say that right. The Khazarian mafia is involved in satanic ritualistic behavior. So this is what I'm trying to tell people. You either wake up to understand what is really going on, you do your research, and you really understand that we are in trouble here. That's the one thing that everybody can agree on more than anything else. You could agree with me on that. We are in trouble here. Do you understand? The country is in trouble. We are in trouble when it comes to our religion, our rights, when it comes to everything. Take Trump out of it if you don't even like what I'm saying about it. We are in trouble. And if you want to be able to live your life and keep going on, you will do things that are going to start the process of getting you further. I bought and I'm not talking about prepping so much. If you want to prep, that's fine with you. But the Khazarian mafia, the evil that they've caused and they will cause, get yourself a awesome water filtration system, whether it's a Berkey water filtration system. I just bought one. I'm stocking up on filters because something is going to happen where either the water supply will get, the water supply is going to probably get contaminated with some kind of toxin, some kind of virus, some kind of something that is going to slowly kill people, because this is what this gentleman is saying. They're not going to come flat out and do it. COVID, nobody can define what COVID-19 is. Nobody can tell you what COVID-19 is. Nobody can come up with any kind of a realistic reason what COVID does. But yet they're coming up with a vaccination that they want people to have that will get you into work, that will get you into the grocery store, whether it's carrying something or putting a microchip in your hand or on your forehead or something along those lines. If you're not okay with doing things like that, take politics out of it. Take it out if that's what you want. But you better listen to what this David Goldberg is doing, because this mafia is driven to take over the country and take over the world. This mafia had everything to do with taking out Europe, taking down Europe and the European countries. They were the ones who brought in the massive amount of immigrants that were brought into this country, that were brought into Europe. Israel is the problem for the destruction of, Europe. They're the problem with the destruction because that's what they want. They think that they are owed something. They are owed everything. That's what their plan is, and they want to. I've got article after article that I found last night on BitChute where you could read rabbis telling people that they want to exterminate white people, Jewish people, the Jewish people that are out there trying to tell people that we're the ones who are going to rule the world. That's what this Khazarian mafia wants to do. They want to rule the world. They're the New World Order. I'm telling you, you don't see it, you don't understand it. They own everyone and everything. Israel is the problem. Now, I've spoken to enough people and told them this, that they're actually starting to question what's going on, because this isn't a matter of, we have a person in the White House, he's going to take care of it. You don't understand. It goes bigger than that. It goes higher than that. This David Goldberg obviously knew. He knew what was going on, and he was trying to tell people. That's when they murdered him. I mean, if you go on in this video, which this video is nowhere else to be found because they have scrubbed it from the internet. If you go on to listen to what this guy says in the video, he says that for weeks and weeks and weeks, he had black SUVs outside of his house, constantly watching his house, surveilling his house. Because why? Because he knew what was going on. Because he knew what the plan was. He knew that we were going to be taken over by this entity, by this mafia. Now I'm going to share with you a story of my brother. My brother, I haven't seen him in quite some time, a few years, and he lives out in South Carolina somewhere. But he was married to this lady. Now listen very carefully. He was married to this lady many, many years ago. Very young, attractive, blonde, blue-eyed lady. She happened to be Jewish, right? She was Jewish. Now, they had their problems and their fights and this and that. Well, they fast forward, they had a child. And there was some fighting going on. The child was born. And my brother saw what was going on in her family, because her family was not right with what was going on. They were Jewish. And Now, this might sound a little bit derogatory, but listen to what I'm saying. So she was Jewish, and we called her, or they called her, her family called her a Jap, right? Not what you're thinking. It stands for Jewish American Princess, JAP, Jewish American Princess. Fast forward, they tried to take my brother's legal right away to see the child because they felt that it wasn't proper and that this child needed to stay within their Jewish family. Well, it didn't work. My brother actually got custody rights of the baby, but Jewish American Princess, this woman was part of this family. Jewish American Princess. This is what they want. This is what their plan is. And if it isn't evident to you with COVID, with this mask nonsense, if it isn't evident to you what they are doing now, not the Democrats, because this has not anything to do with the Democrat. They're using the Democrats as a disguise to push forward their agenda to do what it is they're doing. Because COVID is going to go away when they feel that they can't use it anymore and utilize it anymore to what they need it for. To fool the Americans, to take down American people, to their end game is to NWO. Now, NWO is real, New World Order, but their end game is to the Jews have been doing this for years. That land, like I told you in the beginning of the video, does not belong to Israel. And if you do enough research, you don't have to believe me. There's enough research out there. If you can't find it, I actually found a lot of information in this David Goldberg video. I went into the comment section and I listened and watched all the comments. I went through them all and I read all of these people put in there. They put in BitChute articles and screenshots. They're all on my page. You could all see them. They're right there. You don't have to believe me. But if you're smart, what you'll do is you will start going out of the box. That's right, Linda. She's absolutely right. And that was another point that I was going to make, and she's right. I have a friend who lives in Texas, okay? And this is where I'll end the video. He lives in Texas. He's a cardiologist. He's from Syria. Israel is dirty. Israel is filth. Do you understand? Israel is the reason this is all happening. It is evident. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. And if you do want to bring the Democrats into it, why don't you go back and look? Every other president, past. What have they done? They have paid homage to Israel. They want to protect Israel. That's right, Laura. You hit the nail right on the head, Laura. She said, kill us to take over America. Look, like I said, I have tons of articles. I've got interviews I found last night on BitChute where you could listen to rabbis, saying that they want to kill Americans. They want white genocide. They've wanted it for decades. Look, I can tell you, I don't care what religion people are. You could be Jewish, you could be Catholic. I don't care what you are. You could even be gay for all I care. I don't care. Do you understand? These people, when I was growing up in Brooklyn, Jewish people hated us. They hated us when I was a kid. The neighborhood I was in, the Hasidics always stood in their little area, their little entity, their little town, their little bungalow, whatever you want to call it. Do you understand? We're slaves. She's absolutely right. And we're slaves with a social security number. Where did I find it? Mary, if you inbox me, I'll be glad to give it to you because it's the absolute truth. So to get back to what I was saying, back when I was a kid, the Hasidic Jews hated the people in our community. They couldn't stand us. They wanted to have their own little entity, their own little community, and they wanted to be by themselves, and they wanted nothing to do with white people. Do you understand? That's the way it has come. Go fast forward now into 2020, That land that's in Israel, they honestly think that that land belongs to them. That land does not belong to the Israelites. Those people, if you do enough research, they're not the true Israelites. Do you understand? Those people don't own that land, and God knows that. That land does not belong to them. Like people have said, this is a religious war. They've been fighting it for years. Everybody's like, oh, that's a religious war. They've been fighting it for years, and, you know, nothing is ever going to change. Let them go ahead and blow everybody up. Let them do it, blah, blah, blah. I live everywhere. I kind of live everywhere because I travel in the country with my job. But the point is that these people, Israel, have been fighting for decades to protect what they think is theirs because they're mafia driven. Do you understand? And people told me years ago, my family used to be in the Italian mafia, and I never listened. People said, Michelle, you'll never understand the mafia. And the Italian mafia, the Russian mafia, none of them has a handle on what this Jewish mafia can do. This Jewish mafia is the problem. Well, that's absolutely true, Nance. She said Hollywood is run by them. I absolutely agree with you on that. Oh, whatever. Yeah, see, that's another person. She's going to go and say bye-bye. See, I don't care. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I could have one person on this page. I could care less. I'm not going to come on here and speak about COVID. I'm not going to come on here and speak about all of this nonsense, because this is all nonsense that they want you to look at and turn your head the other direction. So this way you will not pay attention to what it is they're doing. And to every person who's had the nerve to come on here and say anything against me, you know what I'm saying? This is what's going to happen. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be next year, but this is what their end game is. Their end game is to exterminate as many white people as they can. Laura inboxed me. What you just said is key on point. You must be from New York. Laura, listen to me. I lived in a town called Gerritsen Beach, just outside of Sheepshead Bay. I saw what they did to New York. I saw what they did to communities. These people are not the true Jewish people who own that land. That's all I have to say. And this David Goldberg here, if this doesn't tell you, because this happened in 2019, if this doesn't, yeah, Laura inbox me because we need to talk more. If this doesn't tell you what's going on in this country and what is going to happen if we don't stop it, and here's the final point. This guy Dylan, who I don't know much about QAnon, but this guy Dylan is smart when it comes to God. You need to get yourself right with God. You need to tell God, and you need to understand what's going on. Look up David Goldberg, Nance. His final words: classified documents from the White House reveal extermination plans for millions of Americans through Project Pogo and Project Zypher. Project Pogo, what is that? COVID, right? They exterminated maybe not millions because maybe their plan didn't work, but they certainly did get rid of a lot of people, didn't they? They got rid of a lot of people, didn't they? They've gone to telehealth. They put people out of jobs. The one thing that this guy David Goldberg also says is that they'll do it through disguise of finances. Gee, how is it possible that the stock market is going up? Why is the stock market going way up when 3/4 of the nation is out of a job? How's the stock market going up? How are the numbers rising when, 3/4 of the nation is out of work? Well, Angela, do yourself a favor. She said this was the Dems' plan. You better look up the Khazarian Mafia, and you better understand what these fake people are doing. These people don't own that land in Israel. That land does not belong to them. That land belongs, and I'm going to say it, and you may not agree with me, that land belongs to the Palestinians, and it always has, and it always will. So you can say what you want to me or about me. Like I said before, I don't care. I will block anybody on here. It does not matter to me anymore. But if you do your own research and plant it in your head, you'll find out exactly what I'm saying is the truth. More and more people are waking up, and that's exactly what this guy Dylan said. More and more people are waking up. More and more people are understanding that we're in trouble here. We are in trouble here on a spiritual level, and everybody can agree with me on that. We are in trouble on a spiritual level. God, at this point, is the only one that can stop this. There's no human that can stop this. There's nobody that can stop this, because this is an evil that is so out of proportion, an evil that is so satanic. And I'm not talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about this Khazarian mafia. This is an evil that is so intense, so diabolical in what they've been doing. They have been planning this for centuries. And all you have to do is open your eyes, open your mind, see what you need to see to understand that not one human is going to stop this. We as a nation have got to rise up together in one form, one way of Christianity, and stop this. Look, they closed churches down. You can't go pray anymore. You can't sing anymore. Christmas is coming up. They're going to take away Jesus' birthday. Wake up to what is going on. Wake up to the fact that Israel is dirty. Israel is filthy. Their hands are dirty when it comes to all of this. They know what they've been doing. They've been doing it for centuries. And if you don't wake up now to understand what we are up against, this isn't, we're up against masks. We're up against vaccines. We're up against all of it. Linda, in my opinion, what we need to do is we need to band together as Christians. Sean, look, you're a good friend of mine, and I'm going to tell you, this has nothing to do with George Soros. It has nothing to do with the pharmaceutical industry. It has nothing to do with Epstein. This is the Khazarian Jewish mafia. They have done this for centuries, Sean. They are the evil ones. It's Israel that is the problem. I'm telling you, Sean, as my friend, I have videos of rabbis over the years saying they want white genocide. I have videos of rabbis saying horrible, horrible things about white people. Sean, listen to what I am telling you. Look it up, the Khazarian Mafia. It's all there. All you have to do is listen with your heart. Don't listen with your mind. Listen to your heart, with your heart. Listen to what God gave you in here. Oh, thanks a lot. Listen to what God gave you in here. God gave you a heart. He gave you a soul. Close your eyes. Listen with your heart. Listen with the spirit that God gave you, and understand this mafia is evil. They want to take down white people. What better way to do it? By bringing in and integrating in here other religions, Muslim religions. I'm going to tell you one thing, and I bet you didn't know this, and I put this on my page, and you better listen really good. You guess how Omar got in there? You better listen to what I'm saying. You know how Ilhan Omar got in there? And do you know how Rashida Tlaib got in there? They both got in there with Israel's help. Don't you understand? Israel is filthy. Israel brought in the destruction of Europe with all of the immigration that they've done. They destroyed Europe with immigration. They destroyed every single part of Germany. All of it. They took the guns away from Australia. People were willing to throw their guns away and say, here are my guns. Nance, it's not the Democrats. It's Israel. I'm telling you, this is exactly what Israel's plan has been for decades. It's not Obama, Angela, either. It's Israel. It's what their plan has been for decades. And if you don't see what's going on, if you don't wake up to what's going on, and you don't fight with the Christianity that God gave you in here, that's what you need to start fighting with. You don't need to start fighting with guns. You don't need to start fighting with any kind of weapons. In here is what you need to fight with. And you know what I told a good friend of mine, Peggy? I threw my hands up and I said, you know what? Because at some point, God has got to take over. You have got to throw your hands up and tell God, the Almighty Father, maker of heaven and earth, all that is seen and unseen. We believe in one God, our Lord Jesus Christ, the only Son of God, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, one being with the Father. Through him all things were made. For us men and for our salvation, he came down from heaven. All of this, you fight with what's in here. That's what they're afraid of. They're not afraid of us fighting with guns. They're afraid with us fighting with what's in here. And that's what that guy Dylan was trying to say. That guy Dylan wasn't so much dissing the president as he was telling you to fight with what is in here, with God, with what God gave you. Fight in here. They can take away your guns. They can take away everything you have to fight with, but they can't take away your heart and your soul as a Christian. They can't take that away. You fight with what God gave you, and you tell them no more. You tell them that God is my God. God is my God. I stand behind him. He's the maker of heaven and earth. He is the one who can stop this, and he will stop this. God sees what's going on. He feels what's going on. He knows the evil that is down here on this earth. And it's not just the Democrats. That's all a cover. Don't you understand? It's a cover for everything else they want to do. So while you're busy with masks and you're busy with COVID and you're busy with facial scanners, because now some hospitals are installing facial scanners where you have to put your face up to a facial scanner and it takes a facial recognition picture of you in order for you to get into the building. That's what they're doing to keep you busy so you don't fight. That's it. I'm done with the video. If you're smart, you'll look up this guy, David Goldberg. If you're smart, you will understand that we are owned by our social security numbers. We are slaves with a social security number. As long as that social security number exists, you are a slave to this mafia. That's all it comes down to. Moretta, is that your name? It's not Obama that was evil. Listen to what I'm saying. Obama was a puppet. They're all puppets that are out there under the Khazarian mafia rule. Don't you get it? Don't you understand? Listen to the rabbis. There's a video on my page, a rabbi saying that he hates white people. They want to have white genocide. So what are they doing now? They're killing white people, aren't they? They're using Black Lives Matter and every other entity out there to kill white people. White people are evil. That's what the Khazarian mafia wants. They want white genocide. That's all this is. They want white genocide. They want to exterminate the white race. They're using black people. They're using Black Lives Matter. And they're using everybody that goes to a rally, that goes to a BLM rally. They use them all. And when they're finished with them, they will dump them because they don't need them anymore. Do you understand? Look, I've been seeing this for decades when I grew up in Brooklyn. You know, I've got people in my family that are Jewish. I have no problem with people being real, authentic Jewish people. The people that love and care for, you know, the land that is rightfully theirs. But these people are not the true people picked. That's not their land. It does not belong to them. And I couldn't get that through my head for decades. Now I understand. Those people are being used and abused in the name of evil by this mafia. And that's all I have to say. I hope to God people listen to this video. I hope you were able to hear what I played because my computer was not that loud and I had to try to put it up to the speaker. Look it up and I will show you again this here. You can see it. It says David Goldberg right there is what it says. Let's see if I can see it. I turn it around. Sorry. My phone's not working so good. So there we go. So you can see right there, David Goldberg's last words right there. Classified documents and White House memos reveal extermination plans for millions of Americans through Project Pogo and Project Zypher. That's all I have to say. I'm going to get off here. I gave you enough information to decipher and get through your head. Now it's up to you to do the research. And the research will match what's going on now with COVID, with all of this. It'll match. It's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, my friends. I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed the video. The rest is up to you. Have a good day.